It's good to be here today to be a speaker to serve on the pulpit. Thanks, John, for the introduction. It's too many titles, too many names, but I'm just a servant of God. As he mentioned about grace, the grace of God, and the lady you first come up to see, you said, "Church, are you ready for church?" It's by the grace of God. When I was in Oakland, California, I served in a church. It's the African American church, which is a black church. The senior pastor was J.F. Smith Sr. I met with him every other week. So one day he said, "You know, Phil, you know what is grace?" I said, "Grace? It's from God." He said, "No, there's two parts of the grace. One part is the G. The other part is the race, R-A-C-E. If you belong to a certain race, certain nationality, without the G, you're just a race. G representing God. If you God put in front of race, you have grace." Opened my eyes. That was in a black church. And I served there. I was ordained there. And after so many years, I came back to Canada. After I served in a evangelical church for 18 months, I couldn't stand the politics. I ended up in a hospital. My heart stopped. And after that, nobody told me, except Bishop Silas told me. He said, "Come and serve in my church." So I said, "No, I'm just hiding in the church." And then he smiled. And after 2 years, he said, "How about we ordain you?" And then I was ordained again. Do you see that I have two halos? I was in a Baptist church and then become an Anglican. And my wife said I was promoted from B to A. Here I am, just a servant of God. And I was in the community for 16 years, and then I retired 3 years ago. And I knew John probably from 6 years ago. He was finishing up his MDiv in Carey Seminary, and I encouraged him to continue with his passion. And he come to study with me, took 4 units of CPE, 1,600 hours, and become a chaplain, and also introduce him to Bishop Peter, and he's ordained in the Anglican Canada. So it's by the grace of God we are all here. It's not things just happen. It's all arranged by God. Just like the last 3 weeks, I had cataract surgery. So 3 years ago, I had my right eye to be done. And then 10 days ago, I had my left eye to be done. Today, I can see you well without glasses, but I cannot read. I cannot read anything. So I bring in with my cell phone. Thank God we have cell phone. So I can turn on to the passage and make it bigger. But I cannot make my writing bigger. So in the last 3 weeks, so I did my devotion, closing my eyes, based on what I learned about God, learned about the Bible years ago, and then the passage come back and close my eye and did my devotion. And then I prepared my sermon just in my mind. I hope that will be helpful for you. And then 2 days ago, Raymond called me, and Raymond said, "I'm going to come to All Saints Church on Sunday. I heard that you are preaching." I said, "Wow, I just need a driver." By the grace of God, he called just in time. I want to tell you one more thing before I start preaching. Well, I'm preaching already. In a black church, the preacher would get up and preach anytime. When I say something, the audience, the whole congregation would say something. when I say something good, then the whole congregation will say, "You're getting there, you're getting there." But it's about 45 minutes. He said that it's about time to sit down. But when I hear from the eye surgeon 2 months ago that I'm going to have a surgery, and he said that you cannot wait for another 6 months or 12 months for the public hospital for the surgery. So I said, "What do you want to do with me?" He said, "Well, go to the private clinic." I said, "Right, how much?" $7,000 for each eye. So it will be $14,000 for 2 eyes. So I said, "Where I can get that 14,000? So I take it out for my RSP. Well, see, I retired 3 years already. So if I take the money out, that means I need to pay tax. St. Paul Hospital has been talking to me for several months, asked me to go back as a consultant, to teach as a part-time, because they have 2 programs going on at the same time. They need my help. So they've been talking and talking for the 4 months. I said, "Oh, it's not going to come." But on the same week, when the surgeon told me that it cost me $14,000, the contract came. The contract, the amount was $13,200. And then I prayed to God. I still short $800. And then I could see the image. Jesus was smiling. Don't ask me how I see that. I saw Jesus was smiling. And then later on I talked to the surgeon. Normally people still need to pay $800 or $2,000 for the eye surgery, even using the public service. So it dawned on me that, God, you're humorous. You just give me just enough. I still need to pay the $800. God is grace. God is grace. So today I'm going to bring to you the sermon that is based on the Gospel, Luke chapter 4, that Jesus was being led by the Spirit to the wilderness. And he was tempted 3 times. So this is a difficult passage. However, you have already read this passage back and forth, inside out. You know this story so well. Sometimes we may ask the question, why? Why did the Spirit lead Jesus to the wilderness? He is being tempted by the devil. We may ask those questions, but we may not have a perfect answer. Why? Well, he's good. Jesus was a good person. Jesus was a son of God. Jesus was there to bring gospel, to bring the good news. He's just starting his ministry. Well, maybe not even starting. Just before his ministry, he being led by the Holy Spirit to the wilderness. Sometimes we may continue to ask the why question. We may not have a good answer. Just like in the hospital, I talk to a lot of people. They get into an accident. They have cancer. They may have a stroke. And then their life change. They may ask the question, why? Why these things happen to me? Why bad things happen to good people? I had no answer. So you can continue to ask the question why Jesus is being led by the Spirit to the wilderness and to be tempted. Jesus did not need to be tempted at all. He could just go ahead and do his ministry. But we can explain that, well, he needed to be tested, whether he could stand up to the devil. We can say that Jesus, he was a son of God. But of course, he's a son of man. He's a 200% person, 200% person. Then he could do all these kind of things. He may not need to be tempted, but he went through it anyway. He just wanted to prove it to the world. He wanted to prove it to his Father. Yes. But all those arguments is what we think. Jesus was led by the Holy Spirit. Led means he was permitted. He was allowed by the Father. You can go through it. Go through it. So I read a book a long time ago. You may have read the book already. It's not about why good things happen to bad thing happen to good people. It's when bad things happen to good people. As a matter of when, it may happen, but I have no answer. But anyway, Jesus went through it. Jesus went through the test. Jesus was in the wilderness for 40 days. And then you said, why 40 days? Well, it's simple. It's God's number. 40 days. In the Bible, talk about 40, at least 150 times. Noah was in the ark for 40 days and 40 nights. The Israel was in the wilderness for 40 years. 40 is a number. Happened many times. And again, I have no perfect answer. Why 40 days? Well, you can think about the 40. But after 40 days, Jesus was hungry. Nothing to eat. Think about you're on diet for 40 days. On diet 40 days, people will say, what is a diet? You die with a tea. You die with a tea is a diet. So die with a tea. That means you have nothing to eat for 40 days. You will be hungry. You will be hungry. And here comes the devil. If you were the Son of God, turn the stone into bread. I'm hungry. I'm hungry. I can easily turn the stone to bread. Yeah, I am Son of God. And the devil said, if you are Son of God, that means he's being challenged. Challenge his sonship. I'm Son of God. Of course, I can do that. I can blink my eye. That become bread. But Jesus didn't do it. It's not only challenge his sonship. It was challenge his physical needs. I'm hungry. I'm hungry, so I can turn that stone into bread. I'm hungry. I can turn it. But in other words, there's a choice. Now there's a choice. I can turn the stone into bread. I can turn it. It's a choice. Just like we go to the restaurant. So many dishes you can order. Choices. You can go to the steakhouse. They ask you, do you have want any drinks? Drinks. You have many drinks to choice. You choose a certain dish and then say, oh, they come with soup and salad. What kind of soup you like? Salad. You want Caesar salad or you want green salad? Green salad, what kind of dressing you like? Thousand Island, French, blue cheese. You have to make a choice. And then you want a steak. What kind of steak? You want filet mignon or you want a T-bone? What do you want? A New York steak? How do you want to cook? Medium rare, medium well done. And then after that, what kind of dessert you want? You want tea or coffee? Choices. I think in this world, we have a lot of choices. So when it comes to Jesus making a choice, I'm a Son of God. I can make a choice. I can turn that into bread. It's a choice. I'm hungry. I need bread. But Jesus said, men do not live on bread alone. Now, the key word is not bread anymore. The key word will become alone. Do not live on bread alone. That means there's many other things you can live on. Hey, back in the Garden of Eden, Did Adam and Eve have bread? I don't know. But it didn't say it. The Bible did not say it. What did Adam and Eve eat? The fruit from the tree. But the only tree, the fruit of the tree, is the good and evil. Don't touch it. Don't eat it. But they were tempted by the snake, And they did not have bread. But Jesus said, man did not live on bread alone. There's a lot of Bible teaching behind that. You can all go all the way back to the Genesis. Look at the Garden of Eden. They did not have bread. But today, when Jesus had bread, the Israel eat the bread. However, when the Israel was in the wilderness, did they have bread? No. What did they have? Manna. Manna fell from heaven and quail. Manna and hell. And they did not know what manna is. What is that? Well, manna, interpret as what is this? What is this? They don't even know what is this. It's not bread. So Jesus answered the devil, men do not live on bread alone. So the key word is alone. Only. We don't live only on bread. I have other things. The fruit, maybe manna, maybe the spiritual food. The spiritual food from God. God sustained him. Being a chaplain in a hospital, there are 4 things we need to do. Sustaining the person through the process of treatment, to sustain the person through the process of dying. Sustaining. So the first thing is sustaining, healing, reconciling, guiding. This is what a chaplain would do in a hospital. But at this point, Jesus does not need bread alone, but he needs to be sustained by his Father through this stage of temptation. So man does not live on bread alone. He would be sustained by his own Father. I went through a lot of difficult times in the 80s. I was in Vancouver in the 80s. It was a big recession at that time. I was an engineer, but had no job. And then I went back to school for my master's to UBC, and I was stupid enough. And then I told the office of the unemployment, that at that time it's called unemployment office. Now it's called employment office. They removed the UN, unemployment, and become employment. Anyway, and I told them I went back to school. And then they cut off my unemployment check. And then I did not have income, even though it was not much. So I went to the officer and told them I have no job, so that I go back to school. And he said that, well, this is your choice. I said, no, because there's no job. But I told him that I was stupid enough to tell you. I don't want to tell a lie. I don't have to tell you. But he said that, okay, you're going to show me you're looking for a job. And then at that time, I photocopy my resume. Every week I send out resume and go to different company, and I recorded the name. And I said, okay, you keep a good record. We'll see what we can do for you. 2 weeks later, I get back my unemployment check, and retroactive for the last 2 months. By the grace of God, I have no job. There was nothing I could do. I could do something else, maybe not lawful, but the things that I may do something like this. But I said, well, I'm a Christian, I couldn't do that. And then I prayed to God. And after I finished my master's in engineering, still have no job. So a friend of mine recommended me to work for a company is called Church's Fried Chicken. I think church is church. Church's Fried Chicken is church. Oh, no. But it's not. It's not the same. So I went to work there as a management trainee. But the only thing, I have to lie. Because I had a master's degree, so the highest education would be 12. So my friend said, you can only score 12. Don't mark down your education is 16 or 18. At that time, I said, I have no job. So I have to circle 12 instead of writing down 16 and 18. I regretted that for a long time. But God taught me a good lesson. You need to work hard. So in the morning, 8 in the morning, I went there to work. I was cutting chicken in a walk-in fridge, wearing my down-filled jacket. Cut 200 chickens in a walk-in fridge. Very cold. By 11 o'clock, I will be cooking chicken at the oven, 375 degrees, and cook a chicken 12 minutes, the chicken will be well done. It was very hot. So in the morning, I was in the Arctic. In the afternoon, I was in the tropic. And every Friday afternoon, I have to wear a chicken's costume with a chicken's head. I was jumping up and down for every 15 and 20 minutes. We take turns. Different people would wear that. And jumping up and down on 41st Street and Victoria in Vancouver. If you drive around in that area, you just imagine Philip was a chicken jumping up and down there every Friday afternoon. And God taught me a lesson. If you want that job, do it. You lie. You're grade 12. You are not graduate or undergraduate. I lied. But God taught me a lesson. You work hard. Earn your money. After 6 months, I couldn't work there anymore because I was coughing, because the temperature gradients between the Arctic and the tropic. I couldn't work there anymore. So I was unemployed again. And after that, God was humorous. Gave me a job, work up in the Tuskawilla Highway for 3 summers. Every summer I worked there for 7 months until God gave me another job to move down to San Francisco Bay Area. In other words, what I saw in this first temptation, Jesus went through the temptation, was turn the stone into bread. In other words, there is no shortcut. There is no shortcut. Jesus could take a shortcut. Turn the stone into bread. It's shortcut. Blink of my eyes. Turn it. Turn it into bread. But in my life, there was no shortcut. Starting from 81 to 86, 5 years, there's no shortcut. I was unemployed, looking for a job. I tried very hard. I went back to school for my master's and came out, no job. Worked in Church's Fried Chicken. I think it was like hell for me. Because I thought that I was a well-educated person, but get no job. I was complaining to God, and God brought me up to Tuskawilla Highway. I could only went home once a month. So worked there 12 hours a day, worked there for 3 years. And then God gave me another job. Because I prayed to God, give me a job so that I can work there for a long time. So God gave me a job. But there was no shortcut. I have to wait. I had to wait for 5 years. That 5 years was not easy to go through. Jesus went through it in the wilderness. He did not turn the bread into stone. That was the first temptation. It was his sonship is being challenged. His desire being challenged. His decision-making being challenged. Am I going to do it? Being a decision-making person, I can turn it. I can do it on my own. But he had to rely on God. Man does not live on bread alone. I hope that would give you and give me something to rely on, something to fall back on. I don't need to live on bread alone. Maybe fruit, maybe water, maybe juice, I don't know. Maybe the word of God. He's promising you. I went through it. And then the devil did not go away. He came back again and challenged him. I bring you to the highest place. Go bring it to your mountain to see the world. You see this world, see all the kingdoms, so see everything around you. You can have it as long as you bow down and worship me. If you worship me, it is all yours. Wow. We talk about kingdom, prosperity. It's not only that. It's talking about power and authority. When you see the kingdom, that means you have power. You have authority. Not only choice. You have power over other people. You have power over the nation. But there's only one thing you need to do. Worship me. Now, what did Jesus do? Jesus said, go away. Don't tempt your father. So what Jesus did was, he did not want that kind of power and authority. He could have it, but he need to bow down and worship Satan. This is something that what we usually we would do. If we do a shortcut in our life today, politics, big corporation, sometimes they make a decision for a shortcut. They can make a lot of money. They can be wealthy, authority. But we need to look at what we believe, what we are based on. So Jesus, again, was being tempted. Take a shortcut. You don't need to do all the things in front of you. The ministry, go up to the cross, everything. Remember, this thing is happened before he went to the cross. This was happened before he did the transfiguration up in the mountain. This was happened before he was out there in the public ministry. He was being tempted. In other words, Satan said that you don't need to do all the other things. Just worship me. You get the power. You get the authority. You get the kingdom. You don't need to go through it. Remember, Jesus was praying in the garden and asked God, if it is your will, take this cup away from me. Jesus knew that. He's the Son of God. He knew that. But Satan said, if you worship me, you don't need to go for it. You get all the power. You get all the kingdom. You get everything in front of you.
Do you mind if I ask a question?
Yep.
Why do you think Jesus listened to the devil and went up high on the mountain?
Another good question. Why he listened, but he being led. He being led up to there. It could be a process of temptation. It's a process that you and I may go through in this world. You and I would go through a lot of things, but when the time to make a decision, the point is not why he being led up to the mountain. The key would be at the time he make the decision. Let me give you an example of mine. When I worked in this company in America, in the East Bay of San Francisco, God gave me that job. It was a very stable job, but I get a very difficult boss. And I even need to go and attend a class how to deal with difficult boss. After 6 years working with him, I couldn't stand him. Although he paid me very well, he paid 25% more than other companies. But I couldn't stand him. So I want to change jobs, apply for some other jobs. So there was another company, they hired me for a pretty high position, being a chief engineer for the company. They interviewed me on a Saturday morning. And then they said, oh, we didn't make coffee today. We don't have other people help me. Can you go across the street to buy coffee? Here's $2. Back in those days, $2 can buy 2 cups of coffee. And I bought a coffee. And I did the interview. It went okay. I came back and told my wife about buying coffee. But I was interviewed for a job for a chief engineer. My wife said, he will hire you. I said, why? Because you are faithful on small things. As the Bible says. If you're faithful on small things, he will give you big things to do. A week later, the letter of employment comes. They offer me a job. I was being led up to the mountain. It's a chief engineer position. A lot of money. But in the middle of the night, I had a nightmare. Well, it could be a dream, but I call it a nightmare now. I was chased by Buddha, chasing me for a long time. And then I woke up. I was scared. How come I was chased by a Buddha? And I was reflecting on it. And it's dawned on me. I was in that office, that company, they have a big poster, a painting of a Buddha. I didn't realize it at that time. So in other words, I will be serving a boss in a Buddhist tradition. I didn't know that. But I almost took the job. A lot of money. I can tell you that back in 1992, he gave me $150,000 a year. $150,000 a year, 1992. Wow, it's wow, a lot of money. It's a temptation. I pray to God. I didn't take the job. So good question. Why Jesus being led to the mountain? I don't know. I may not have a perfect answer. But by my own experience, I've been led to a high position. In 1992, I didn't like my boss. He was so difficult to deal with. I wanted to leave. But in the meantime, I get a job interview. I'm being offered a job with a lot of money. But in a dream, God showed me, you will be serving somebody else is besides me. So I turned down the job. So that was an experience, as a very personal experience. I can tell you one more other story. When I worked in the hospital, that was around 2014, 2015. I was called in to VGH in the ICU to say a prayer for a man. This man, he jumped from B.C. place. And then he wanted to suicide. He wanted to take a shortcut. He wanted to end his life. Now, I'm not criticize people, they attempt to do temptation. Sometimes the reason for ending a person's life is to take a shortcut. I don't want to deal with things. I don't want to face the world. I don't want to face my family. While ending my life is a shortcut. I do counseling. I do suicide prevention. And that is a very common statement. So I have no judgment on that man. I say a prayer for him. But he was in a deep coma. Because of major concussion, because he jumped from B.C. place. So he swelled up. He was in a coma for over 20 days. I went in there every day. I look at him and I say how I see him, how I saw his face. And then I say a prayer and then I go away. 20 days later, he woke up. He said to me, Pastor, chaplain, you are so boring. I said, why? You say the same prayer over and over again. Can you have something else to say? I said, no. I just know so much. This is God, my God, giving me the word, the prayer, a short prayer. Every time I say the same sentence for 20 days. I was so boring. Hey, he was being led to the high place to end his life. He jumped down. He did not die. In the midst of that, he encountered me. I say the same prayer to him. God can be humorous. God may do something out of the blue. We may not understand. And I don't know why the nurse called me that night. There are several people on standby. They call me and I respond. I end up there. I journey with that man for 20 days. Afterwards, he being transferred out of ICU. I did not see him again. But I remember that. Taking a shortcut. That man took a shortcut to jump and his life. I almost took a shortcut to leave my difficult boss. Jesus, he could take a shortcut, go up to the mountain, see the world, as long as he bowed down and worshiped him. And Jesus said, don't tempt your father. And the devil did not go away. And he come back again the third time. Come back the third time and took him up to the highest point of the temple and said, if you're a son of God, throw yourself out. That means you jump out. You jump. The angel is going to come and lift you up and support you. And your feet will not strike a stone. Hey, by the way, this is the exact verse from Psalm 91, 11 to 13. You go home, but now I cannot see, I cannot read. But you go, it's exact words. So the devil knows the Bible very well. Exact word. If you are the Son of God, if you jump from the highest place, the angel is going to come, lift you up by the hands, and lift up in their shoulder, and your feet will not strike a stone. It's the exact word from Psalm. That was from King David. Psalm 91. What does it mean in there? The devil took Jesus up in the highest place. You jump from here, you will not die. You will be saved by the angel. That means you can call upon the angel. And the angel has already looking upon you. The angel is going to help you. If you take this shortcut, that means you can fulfill your vision. You can fulfill your mission right here. You don't need to go through the next step. Wow. If Jesus took that temptation upon himself and finished it all, that means he may lose his vision. He may lose his mission. A lot of time, being a leader, being a pastor, being a corporate CEO, we may lose our vision and mission because we being lifted up on a high place, we can jump. And something is going to happen. Something will help me. An angel will help me. to lift me up. I'm not going to strike upon any stone. I will be okay. That means another shortcut. Take a chance. And being challenged by his sonship and being challenged by his vision and mission. You have a mission to go forward, but you can jump. If you jump down, the angel is going to help you. If you take that route, the angel is going to help you. You take that, the angel is going to help you. When I was in Hong Kong, I came to Canada, and I still hear a lot of people. They climb up the corporate ladder. They want to make the company successful. They are willing to bow down to some idols in Thailand. The Four Faces idol. Heard about that? And their business become very well, make a lot of money, but the person lose the mission, lose the vision. And then the whole company change course. Yes, making a lot of money, but they could be dealing with drugs, dealing with a lot of secret things, making a lot of money. But is that the things that we, as a Christian, will do? Jesus being tempted 1 time, 2 times, and 3 times. It's all about choices. It's all about taking a shortcut. It's all about being challenged who you are, your sonship, your identity, being the children of God. You being challenged if you were the Son of God, if you were a leader of a church, if you were a CEO of a company, if you come and bow down to me, if you are hungry, if you want power, if you want the mission in front of you, come and bow down. This is what the devil say. But Jesus said, no, man does not live on bread alone, not only on that. And Jesus will also say that this is not the only way to do it. Only. Being tempted, being led by the Spirit. But Jesus won the temptation, went over the temptation. And today, how are we going to live with the Word of God? How are we going to live by the Spirit? And the Spirit afterwards led Jesus out of the wilderness and serve him and comfort him. There are many things in our life we need to go through difficulties. When we go through difficulties, those could be situations, those could be temptations. But how are we going to go through it? Not by bread alone, not by some theory, not by some money in front of us, not because of the power and authority, not because we have some kind of a mission and vision come from elsewhere, come from Satan. God is humorous. God took me a long journey, from an engineer to a pastor, from a pastor to be a chaplain. And along the way, God showed me a lot of things to rely on Him. I went through eye problem 25 years ago. God gave me back my eyes 25 years ago because of glaucoma. And I could see in the last 25 years. And now I had my cataract surgery. I don't have to wear glasses. I can see very well, except I cannot read today. Maybe a month from now I can read. Maybe I can even preach even better. And God also let me go through stress. I went through the tunnel. I was the other side of the world. I probably at the entrance of heaven. I came back. I can tell people there is a heaven. There's a heaven. There's another world. There is an eternal life. It was beautiful. And I went through sepsis, and sounds like a tumor in my liver. But God guided me through and healed me. Those are the things that I went through in the last 25, 30 years. And God still used me. After I retired, I'm still serving God. I'm probably still working 50 to 60 hours a week after retirement. So I've learned from retirement to slow down. Probably in the next 3 years, I need to slow down. I have not slowed down yet. So pray for me and continue to remember me in your prayer, and so that I can continue to serve Him and rely on Him. And man does not live on bread alone. Thank you. May God bless you.